I'm just speaking from my experience, not even directly to what you said or what you meant.
No, obviously.
But what John and Jay was saying, it's like when I was young, that made sense, right? I'm not.
What
this is not
made
ancient.
sense? What made sense?
What you're saying? God somehow this is going to make sense because God's going to make sense. God has a plan, and that was true for me when I was young, right? When I got older, and when my brother died, and as a child, it's just, well, God kind of called him home. God had a better plan for him. No man understands God's thing. When I was a kid in that, with somebody else's grandma, somebody else's brother, that was cool. And I'm even telling them that. Yeah, don't worry about it. God's got you. Jesus is here. Jesus, just pray. Jesus died for this. All of a sudden, after 40 years of saying that stuff, and I'm not saying you don't believe it, because I believe it too. Oh yeah, God's got you, brother. I'm praying for you, right? And I'm hearing that until it was me. And then you're looking at God like, where?
But did he have you? Did he? My thing is,
the
hold
thing.
up, did God have you though? Did he not?
I don't believe he did. That's my truth.
You said you didn't know then, or you still don't know now?
Still now.
You don't
and
know.
also in
Woo! Hey guys, welcome to Little Black Bert 91. Man, this is a very powerful conversation, and I want to say first and foremost, NLE, shout out to him for being so zealous and so inspired to want to speak life into the older heads about God. I actually do believe that some of the things that Yeti said was actually very correct, because I do think that maybe potentially some of the guys around the table may be more church than they are Christian, but I'm not going to debate that here. I think as Christians, we've got to be very careful. And I'm using the word careful, and even actually, sorry. Sometimes as a Christian, you can be very zealous when you first come to the faith that you don't recognize wisdom. And you can be so zealous to want to correct, teach, reprove, rebuke, and you don't realize that whilst you have so much passion, you don't have the wisdom yet. The Bible says that in Luke 2:52 that Jesus Christ grew in stature and he grew in wisdom and in favor amongst men. There is a maturity that needs to come into this, right? There's a reason why the Hebrew boys were in Babylon for 3 years being taught. There must be a season of hiddenness where God just speaks to you and begins to mature you. NLE has gone through so much from a young age and seen a lot, but what he doesn't recognize is he's still a babe. He's still growing in the Lord. And sometimes it shows when you're growing in the Lord because you don't know how to listen. Bible is slow to speak, be quick to listen. And so this conversation is really powerful because I think it's a good insight into how sometimes we've got to hold people's tension. When I heard Kevin on stage say to himself that he don't feel like God had him at the moment when his brother passed away, I didn't think to myself, oh my God, he doesn't have a relationship with God. I didn't think to myself, oh, he's not a Christian. All I thought was, bro, I can understand it. I mean, until you've lost somebody, and I've sat with a few people who have lost people like close to them. What Kevin on stage said is not too different from what they've said. It doesn't make sense. And it may never make sense until you get to the gates of heaven. How do you explain that your wife passed away? I remember there's a gentleman whose wife passed away after a month of marrying her. You can't. How do you explain somebody losing a child and they got better and then passed away? How do we explain Kevin Stage's brother, getting cancer, falling sick, getting better, and then passing away? You can't explain it, and there's no need to explain it. It's between them and God has to work it out with that individual. And that's where, as Christians, we don't have the answers, and we don't need to, because that's between God and them. All we need to do is support you and walk with you. I think NLE, I understood. He may have felt like he needed to defend the faith, but actually, even he was, there were some things that were kind of heretical. I can't even lie to you. Some of the things that he said were a little bit heretical, just going to be honest with you. But we'll tap into that in a minute or two. But if you're here, listen, we're going to be here for a little while. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on that wonderful bell button for the notifications of uploads. We appreciate you guys to look slow. Let's get into this video, man. Let's get into this video. I already want to chop this up, man.
In the Bible, people in the Bible were like, Jesus was like, I don't understand what is happening.
It's not meant for you to understand.
Right, but this is what I'm saying, though. Hear what I'm saying. In that moment, when my brother, right, and we talking about the celebrity, fame, and all this type of stuff, and I'm sure we all know this. Your circle of like actual trust people that you know, if everything about you that everybody loves was gone, the amount of people who will be like, hey, brother, you Uber, I don't care. Come by the house, we're playing Uno. That amount of people that you really actually trust is usually less than 5 people, maybe 2 or 3 people.
1,000%.
Right? For me, one of those 2 people is gone.
1000%.
So now it's like, and then you have people at the church, at the funeral, oh, brother, God's got you. Okay, I hear y'all, okay? Yeah. But that person is gone.
Do you know what we're talking about?
Now, what he's talking about is the empty platitudes that we give each other as Christians. As Christians, we say things like, I'm praying for you. God's going to make it better. You know what I'm learning to do? Shut my freaking mouth. I'm learning more. I'm not saying I do it all the time, but I'm saying I'm learning to just shut my mouth. Someone passed away. I'm not about to tell you that God's going to make it better, because he isn't. He's not going to make it better. How can he? The person's gone. They're not coming back. There's no way to make that better. The person can only learn how to move forward. There is no getting better. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? The person has to learn how to maneuver life now with that missing piece. There is no getting better. We say empty platitudes. And sometimes God's got you, you know, God's going to have your back. No, God will. But at this time and season, sometimes to mourn with people is to shut your mouth. You know, it's my favorite term I'm saying these times. Okay? Sometimes you need to shut your mouth. You don't need to say empty platitudes. Right? So shut it. Because sometimes you're trying to encourage, and your encouragement is actually making people annoyed by saying, oh, God's got you. God has a plan. God knows what he's doing. Yeah, God does. And we know this. So shut up. Just be quiet. Sit with them. If they ask you of something, then you can respond. But you don't need to volunteer it. Shut up. And as Christians, sometimes we can't do that because we are uncomfortable. It's not about them. We are uncomfortable with them mourning and them mourning and making us feel uncomfortable. So we're trying to make it quick. That's why we say, I'll pray for you, and not have a conversation with that person. We've all done it before. Oh, I'll pray for you, brother or sister. You will, but really and truly, you know what would have helped? You having a conversation with them. You know what would have helped? You just listening to them. You know what would have helped? You just being there for them. Sometimes a prayer is you just actually just being there for them. Sometimes I don't, you know what I mean? So sometimes just be quiet. Just be quiet. I've had friends that have lost people. I just sit there and I keep quiet. We'll sit there for an hour or two. You sit there for an hour or two. Nobody says nothing, bro. And it's not necessary. There's no need to go and crack a joke to try and make it light. I want to make you smile. I want to make you happy. Shut the frick up. You don't need to do anything. Keep quiet, sit there and be and sit in that discomfort, because that's what the person's going through. That's what they're going through. Right? I remember one of my boys back in the day lost his dad, and it was quick. It was quick, bro. We used to go and visit him at the house, bro. We'll just sit with him, bro. Or we'll go for a walk and just listen to him and just talk. But we'll have a talk. But listen, you know? Sometimes, you know what I mean? Sometimes, I remember one time we went out to a club and it was like, all right, cool, go to the club. Hey, bro, sometimes presence is better than the mouth speaking, bro. So what Kev is explaining, he's having a moment where he's saying it doesn't make sense to him. Just Christianity doesn't make sense to him. You see, and I don't need to try and defend the faith. Sometimes we defend the faith and it's unnecessary. I don't need to defend the faith in that moment. And that's what NLE was doing. He's trying to defend the faith. And even the faith he's defending, I don't rock with him. Some of the things he said were actually heresy. But I'll come to that in a second or two. You know what I mean?
Let me
spiritual bypass. Is he gone though? Is that person really gone?
That energy
dead. Energy never died.
No.
Let me tell you what's happening, King.
So now NLE's saying, like, is he really gone? Is he really dead? Yes, he's dead, bro. He's done. He's done. Like, there is, and this is what I'm talking about. Now, what NLE is showing us is a lack of ability to be able to empathize in this moment. He wants to give an answer to be right and doesn't recognize the wisdom is to zip it. Zip it. Okay? Yeah, I don't think NLE is even a Christian. So I the things he was saying were not matching up with a Christian anyway. So I'll talk about that in a second. Yeah.
Let me tell you what you're dealing with at the table. I'm gonna share something with you.
I'm dealing with the same thing.
No, and I'm dealing.
And
I respect you.
I deal with.
And I know what you are.
I deal with the way I deal with people dying in the most violent way, and I gotta go to their funerals, pay for them motherfuckers, and they moment had to cry on my soul.
I'm not discounting that.
I'm not discounting either, but I'm saying.
How is this an argument? Like, how does somebody's experience turn into an argument apart from the one that just wants to prove that they are the smartest person in the room? And I think he may have felt a little bit insecure because all the men were older. He's trying to show that he's got knowledge. But here's what I've learned about this. Here's what I've learned about real wisdom. Wisdom doesn't have to announce itself. It doesn't have to announce itself. People announce wisdom for it. that make sense? I probably didn't say it the right way. What I meant to say that is that people will speak on your wisdom. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Like, you don't need to announce that you're a wise person. I remember this is about a decade ago. I remember this brother said to me, we're in a Bible study. This is back in the day. It was Potter's House, actually, back in the day as well. I visited a couple of churches, trust me, in my day. It was England Potter House, right? And I remember that they were having a Bible study. And one of the guys came up and he said, Holy Spirit is dealing with me and he's teaching me how to shut up. And I looked at him like, what? He's like, you know what? Sometimes they ask you a question in Bible study and I have the answer, but I keep quiet. And in my head, I was like, why is he saying that for? I was like, if I know the answer, I'm gonna raise my hand. I said, he must be doing this fake humility stuff. I did not realize till one day I got humbled. You don't need to announce yourself everywhere you are. You see, that's young bullishness. That's young pride. That's young zealousness. But when you get to a place of wisdom, immaturity, and that's why he's showing his age, but I don't even want to call it his age. He's arrogant. And that's not necessarily always to do with age. Sometimes that is just to do with the person themselves. You must understand that sometimes when you are the youngest person in the room, they weren't discounting you. You were just talking too much. And you needed to listen. How did Kev on the stage's experience about him and God turn into an argument? This was not a witnessing moment. Okay? This was not a witnessing moment. This was a moment just to soak in what the brother was saying and hear what he's saying. And if you disagree, you can ask more questions. Hey, bro, you know what? I heard you mention about God not being there for you. What does that mean then? What does that look like? Because as you're a believer, what does that look like for you then? What was that journey like for you? You see, you ask questions because you're trying to understand, but here, NLE is just trying to be right. And that's his problem.
Well, now, first of all, I am very grateful that the space for conversation is just happening.
Me too, bro.
They was having a chance to talk. Yeah,
This is actually a conversation.
Yeah. But I do want you to know, and I do want you to know what you're also walking into is because
I know what I'm walking into.
Well, if you don't mind,
Yes, sir.
if I can frame it like this, if you don't mind, just give me a second, and I really appreciate that. You're also talking to people, and I want to go to this with you, Ray J, is because you were raised in the church too. This is what you also do. See, you had, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I need you up on this. You weren't raised in church, were you?
My grandmother on my dad's side took my pops to church 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes 2 times a day.
What about you?
I'm a product of that.
Okay.
That veered my father away.
So did you go to the church or not? See, and that's the problem with NLE right now. He's trying to prove something, and there's nothing to prove. The question is very simple. Did you grow up? I just spat there. Did you grow up in church or not? That is a simple question. He now going around it. He gonna go to about my grandpapa. No, we're you.
Away from church.
Wow.
I went in church every day and all this.
Good.
I was not. I can't say.
Which is
but
good.
I still receive what he felt. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
generational thing.
Yes,
It
yes,
passed
sir.
down.
Yes, sir.
So right, I feel it the way he felt it or not. I still feel it secondhand. You feel me?
Well, let me tell you why I said that. It's because I appreciate and love when people did not have to be forced to go to church and have stuff thrown down their throats, because it gives them a different way to paint their picture of the journey.
I get what you're saying. But going to church isn't the solution, man.
No,
I get-
I'm not disagreeing with you, King. I'm sharing with you what you're walking into.
And I
What's happening at the
understand
table is that for a lot of us, let's call it what it is, religious trauma.
I understand.
What we're dealing with a lot at this table is because we have had people make us feel
You know
bad.
why though? It's a thing where you have.
And again, NLE can't listen. You see, NLE, Kirk Franklin took the time to explain it to you about what you're walking into. He patiently told you, this is I'm setting a tone for you so you understand where people are coming from. You actually were very dismissive of Kevon Stage's experience. It's nasty work. And it's arrogant. And it's arrogant because it doesn't allow for room for other people to have another opinion or another different perspective, right? So in that space, whether you're Christian or not Christian, see, this is why it shouldn't be. You see, human beings have to learn how to deal with other human beings, whether you're Christian or not. I could sit with a Buddhist person, a Muslim person, a Jehovah's Witness person, and if they told me about their experience, in that moment when they're telling me that their brother passed away and they question their own faith, I will not be like, well, now this is why you need Jesus in your life. This is why you should, like, I'm not going to tell a Muslim or a Jehovah's Witness or a Mormon or a Muslim or a Buddhist or a New Age person, oh, this is why you need Jesus. No, we all experience life in a particular way, okay, right? This is not the time to now start preaching. It's actually the time to listen. And a lot of the ministration you're going to do is when you do life with people. That's why I'm saying shut up. There is nothing to prove here. The person shared their experience of a very painful situation, and all they needed was for you to shut your mouth and listen. Okay? All right? So this is where we can partner with the Holy Spirit, because when you sit there and you listen and you hear what people are going through, you get a feel of where they're coming from, right? Where they're coming from, not where you're coming from, where they're coming from. And that's what all that was needed. That's why he's arguing right now. It's because it's all about being right, not necessarily administration. It's arrogant.
You have us here as people. You have God, and then this is what happened. We got to go through all these different things to get primarily the source. Primarily the source. You know what I have a problem with? One of the things I
Listen to this. This is heresy for me personally. This is heretical. This part here, this is heretical. This part here is really heretical. Okay, you need to listen to what he's gonna say. This I say heretical from a Christian standpoint. This is heretical. Listen to this.
I have a problem with, and it may be controversial. A lot of people may say this, I may say that. I don't like, let me say it in a manner to where it's extremely intelligent. Let me think on it. In Christianity, it's a thing where people praise the Son more than they praise the Father. And that's what I don't like.
Okay.
Because
I don't care what you don't like. I actually don't care what you don't like. What does the Bible say? I don't care what you don't like. What does the Bible say? And that's, you see, that's what makes the difference between. So when you deny Jesus Christ being God, at that point, you're not a Christian. No offense to anybody, Jehovah's Witness or Mormons or anything like that, but you're not Christians. Anytime you lower Christ from being God, you're no longer Christian. Even if you have Christ in your language, Christ in your faith, anything that does not put Christ Jesus as God, you are no longer a Christian, because what Christ did, only God could do. Christ is not just a prophet, he's not just a king, and he's not just a priest. Christ is not just human, and we're talking about his earthly ministry. He is God. God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. 3 persons in one. Okay? Right? So whenever we dishonor Christ and say, I don't like the fact that we praise Jesus Christ more than the Father still receives the praise because of who the Son is. He's God. We honor the Father when we honor Christ Jesus. We honor Jesus when we honor the Holy Spirit. We honor the Father when we honor the Holy Spirit, or we honor Jesus. We honor the Father when we honor Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit when we honor the Father. So in that space, when you on earth right now, we are not orphans because we have the Holy Spirit. And that Holy Spirit allows me to communicate with the Father because of what Christ Jesus has done. So I don't know who's taught him, but he needs to be taught again. And this is that's why sometimes you need to just zip your mouth and listen, because sometimes you think you're too quick. What you're saying actually will disqualify you from being a Christian. If you don't like the fact you were giving praise to Jesus Christ, who is the Son of God, who is God. John 1, who taught him? Who taught him? Because that's not Christianity, bro. At that point, we're talking about something else, right? We're talking about something else. John 1, verse 1 is where we start. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. And you know what I mean? And the Word was God. And that Word was then made flesh, that dwelt amongst men. Okay.
If we are man made in a likeness, Jesus is our brother. You get what I'm saying? Why would I drop down and praise my brother instead of praising my father? And that goes.
And this is what I'm saying to you, why his arrogance he doesn't recognize. Let me tell you why he doesn't recognize the arrogance. Okay, it's because even after this, he's still. Look at this. I'm gonna show you. He's in the chat. He was in the comment section. Let me see if I can get it. I want to see if I can get the comment. He actually commented. Let me see if I can get this comment. He actually commented about this. Okay. So he said it's tough to listen to a group of people when they try to undermine wisdom because of my age. Truth is, I've lived more than the average 22-year-old. Everything they mentioned going through, I withstood with them. Addiction, suicidal thoughts, deaths, fatherhood, smear campaigns, etc. I felt inadequate at the table because everyone wanted to use age as a reason to say my point of view holds no weight, and that mentally put my mind in defense mode. A lot of moments I for sure was out of alignment with listening, but I had my reason. The brother Jonathan couldn't make eye contact with me the entire interview. That's just one minor thing in a list of several that took me out of the conversation. Some moments I wasn't really there because I was fighting a feeling of being attacked because of the intellect I carry. I'm an empath, so everything I feel, I take it to a 10 degree. In all honesty, the version of God is molding me isn't done yet. I don't feel I was ready to do an interview because this was my first a long time, but hey, I tried. I appreciate the opportunity, Kirk. You're still not getting it. And that's my point. You're still not getting it. He still doesn't understand. You want to sound like the smartest person in that room, and what you didn't realize was the men were having a heart-to-heart conversation. This was not the time. This was not the time to start behaving like a zealous Christian. This was the time to keep quiet, to listen, to soak in, and then to add yours. Because you see what they never did to you? What we never saw in this interview was them jumping over you, talking over you. But several times when people are talking, you jump over them. Brother Jonathan couldn't look in your eye. Yeah, probably because he was annoyed.
And that goes back to honoring your parents.
I just gotta say something.
What?
Have you read the Bible?
I read the Bible. I listen to the Bible. I receive from source straight.
I would say read it again.
Yeah.
Sir.
Let me ask you a question, Ray. How has it been?
Jonathan said, I've had enough. Jonathan told him, listen, go read it again because you're annoying me. Okay. People can accept you for having a different opinion. What people can't accept is that when you have a different opinion, you slight everybody else. That's an arrogant. No one likes that. I don't like seeing it from Christian debate. Like one of the things I hate on TikTok, seeing is Christian debaters and non-Christian debaters. They are the most arrogant people I've seen. They debate in a way that if they feel like they're right, the way they disrespect people. Oh, you're stupid, you're dumb. If you were smart, you would have had a better opinion. I hate it. I don't think Jesus would have ever argued like that. But we do. And I find it arrogant from a lot of Christian and non-Christian debaters I see online. When I'm on TikTok, it's all about who can prove that they're better debater. And it's like, if you're trying to prove Christ, then this isn't about a conversation that makes people feel like they're dumb. Have a conversation, disagree, absolutely. But it just proves that you're not actually here for the Christ thing. It feels like you're here for making sure everybody else can see that you're amazing and smart. I've had conversations with Muslim men, and we've had the most amazing conversations. Neither of us were going to change our position, but the conversation was so powerful because we were listening. We were hearing. We were listening. We were hearing. So when these brothers are talking, you should be listening, not to respond, but to hear and understand. And you didn't do that. And then you doubled down even after watching it, and you still got it wrong. And then you even incorrectly positioned who Christ was. At that point, you shouldn't even be talking. Keep quiet.
For you, coming from the space where you had to go through this, you were raised in church, you've seen different things.
I want to
not
skip
been
past the
always
Ray J
good.
part. Sorry. I want to skip past the Ray J part because it was kind of annoying.
Okay, that's what cancer does. You understand that. He got
This was
Like,
deep.
was it any like when your brother passed away, any malicious stuff that happened? Like, what happened? Was it any?
so this is the part that feels the most cruel about it. He had cancer, and at the time that he was diagnosed, they were like, this is like a terminal cancer, 5 to 7 years, right? So man,
Lost my grandfather to cancer.
I'm sorry, man.
what makes it worse is if he just got cancer and got sicker and died. Okay, that's what cancer does. You understand that. he got cancer, got sick, and then got better, to where he was back to where he used to be. So we were on a book tour, and I saw him in Houston. We had dinner. Everything was normal, and the night before he passed away, we were texting and calling, and everything was great. The day he passed away, we were talking, we were texting, we were talking about sports. And then my sister-in-law called and was like, your brother had a seizure. And I'm like, what? I still had my phone in my hand. I was like, I'm just talking to him. And I was so disoriented that I had a show that night. And I was like, I came home and I was like, I'm gonna go to my show, he'll be fine. And my wife was like, I'm gonna go to Houston. I think you should come. And thank you. And I'll never forget this. We're flying, and my nephew called me on the plane, and somehow my phone still rang. And my nephew told me on the phone, he's gone. Wow. This was the last time he was alive. I'm talking to him the night before. We make the New York Times bestseller. Look, thank you, Richard. So it's the highest high. Like that day is the best day ever. Because it was like we did it. Everything was like we wanted to do this. We wanted to make all this stuff happen. And we did it. And before we could even celebrate it, you're gone.
Jeez.
And then all this stuff starts happening good. And it's like, bro, this is what we worked for. All the stuff, the shows, it's just like, there's times where I go to text him or to call him, and it's like, your brain doesn't remember. So, and then on top of all that, his responsibilities became mine. So his family, he's the provider for that family. So now all of a sudden, I've got to help his wife, his kids.
Wow.
So I'm grieving with y'all.
Wow.
But I've taken on more of a burden, even though we're all sharing the same pain. I'd only been to 2 funerals before that. The 3rd funeral was my brother, and now I have to pay for and plan it. And I don't, you know what I'm saying? I've never done any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then I still got to be my own husband, my own wife's husband, my own kid's father. I still got employees. I still got to show up. You know, that's what we're saying, the work part of it. Like, I don't even know what I would have done if I didn't have work. And I'm not even saying I buried myself in work. But it was like, I gotta live.
Yeah.
But I also feel guilty for living.
Yeah. I have a question for you guys, man. Is that,
Man, that was tough, man. Because I know obviously when his brother passed away, you know, like you don't really hear the story, so you just kind of know his brother passed away at the time. But to hear him articulate what happened, you know what I mean? To hear how he had to articulate that bro, like, that's why I say sometimes just shut up. So I said, sometimes just shut up. Because what are you going to say to that? So when he then says he questions God, you know what I mean? When then we say he questions God and he says, I don't think God has got me. This is not this is not the time that I will come and now tell you, oh, hey, God's got you. I don't need to. Then I become like the Job's friends. All I need to do is sit with you, bro. All right, cool. Because you're in the midst of emotions right now, and you probably do feel like God ain't got your back. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Like you probably do feel like that, bro. Like I ain't gonna lie to you. If you've never been disappointed by God before, I don't think you've lived long enough to be in this relationship with Christ. I'm gonna tell you the truth. If you've never been disappointed before, you've not really had a relationship with Christ before. It's not to say that God let you down, but you feel like God let you down. You know God didn't let you down, but you can't help the feeling that, hey, God, where were you for this? Why didn't you sort out this? You know how I know that? Because even in the Bible, when it came to Lazarus, right? Remember Lazarus? And Lazarus's sisters were saying to Jesus, if you had been here, you know, he wouldn't have passed away. Why didn't they say, well, it's God's plan? You know, I'm sad that you're here, but you know, it is what it is. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So this is why I don't feel uncomfortable in the space now of you telling me that you don't feel God's got your back. I don't need to tell you God's got your back. Because if God has really got you, he going to show you he's got your back. Me telling you right now he got your back ain't going to help the situation right now. It's not the words you need to hear. It's not the words. And again, it becomes an empty platitude for people. So as a Christian, sometimes you need to sit in a discomfort of the fact that there's no answer right now that's going to help the situation. The only answer is silence. So now if he now tells me right now after that story, how can I believe God's got my back? Unless he asks me for an answer. Unless he specifically asks me. You know what I'm saying to you?
Do you think, like even what's happening right now, do you guys think that there is another medicine out there, Jonathan, that we're not even realizing they can also be part of the healing for us as black men? And it is the lack of sometimes affection that we feel that we have not been prepared to give each other as black men. Like, I'm gonna tell you something, and I said this earlier, you know, NLE, I'm not ashamed to say, man, that I would love to have known what it feels like to have a father hold me, or have a brother hold me and embrace me when I'm weeping tears. And I think that there's something therapeutic about that, but because the culture has always put us against each other, you know, that do you feel, Doc, that we're missing these opportunities to even help heal each other by embracing each other in our darkest moments, to just let each other know, I see you, I got you, and we're gonna be all right. Like, do you think that there's something we're missing in this alpha male, this toxic masculinity that we're dealing with more than ever in our culture?
We're missing connection.
Yeah.
And you see how the air changed?
Yes.
As Kevin was sharing. And I'm sitting here and I can feel this energy because, to be honest, Kirk, we don't even get the opportunity to grieve properly as black men.
Or even how Ray J even got up and just showed him some love. It's like, you know, we don't get those moments.
We don't get those moments. You know, when I saw all of these guys, I made it my point to acknowledge his transformation.
Yes.
I made it my point to acknowledge his perseverance and to speak life into him. I made it my point to talk with him and to share with him, Ray J. And because when we lack connection, man, we limit ourselves from having the human experience. Yeah. We need connection. We need affection. I've made a post, or it wasn't even a post, I was on a podcast, Brandy Harvey's podcast, and I talked about how study shows that boys need more hugs than girls. Not because they need more love, but we're usually underdeveloped emotionally as boys because we don't get touch, we don't get affection, we don't get I love you and look you in your eyes and not be able to say, you know, no homo. It's no, I love you, man, and pause. It's like we don't get that. And man, the internet tore me up.
It's a war,
the internet tore me up because it was like, oh, so you saying? I said, no, that's not. The study revealed that because boys are underdeveloped psychologically and emotionally, because we've been told, man up, you better not be no bitch. Don't you cry.
At the same time, we so far away from how we originally were supposed to bring up black men that we don't. A lot of black men don't know.
NLE, let it rest, please. You said one or two pieces. Let it go. Let the brother Jay expand, please. I beg. I don't want to hear from NLE. Can't even lie. I don't want to hear from you, NLE, right now. I want to be able to hear what the brother King is saying because he's breaking some stuff down. You don't need to tap into every conversation. Sometimes just relax.
Oh no.
Share more with that as a young man with that perspective.
When you walk up to, and I don't call them the YNs, but when I walk up to a young king, it's always black man, good brother, young king. I love you, man. Respect. And I've seen, man, and most times when I'm through the airport and somebody stop me and say something, I embrace them. And they'll say, brother, thank you. Because usually, Kirk, it disarmed them from having to armor up. Because usually when brothers go into any space, we're armored up.
Tell me about this war, NL.
Man, it's a war. I mean, we all aware of the war. We all aware of the war. Every day we wake up. You know what I'm saying?
Define it for me.
Jonathan's sick and tired of that, brother. Jonathan's like this. Every time NLE talks, he don't want to hear nothing he got to say. And I get it. Because, fam, you've broken the trust of the room, innit? So I get it, bro. Like, you
I mean, just somebody who's older, I would love to know in detail from your perspective. It's because your life is so much more different than mine. I would love to learn.
Is it the war to kill black masculinity? Is that what it is?
Man, it's the war So what, a black man, black masculinity. But a lot of people got to understand black man also have feminine too. Feminine on the fifth dimensional level with receiving, stillness, trust, and just allowing things to happen and flow within a life. And just, you know, the balance. We're unbalanced. As black men, we want to always do. That's the masculine. Not the feminine, not this. Feminine is receiving, stillness, trust, faith. Masculine is just the power and the act of doing. Once we start to create balance in that area, that's when black men, we become more polished. But the war is that information like that is not groomed to us from yay high. You know what I'm saying? Even, you know, and brother, I don't even want it to be a misconception like I'm not understanding what you went through. I don't want you to feel in no way, shape, form disrespected.
No, I don't.
And, you know, I feel like everyone on this table is the
You're doing
utmost
a great
love
job,
for.
King.
Understood.
Yeah.
But, man, one thing that I started to learn and I never understood why in science it stuck with me so much. It's the energy cannot die, can only be transferred. Now, that's my perspective, right? I'm not saying that's how you should apply it to your life. But I can't say, man, my grandfather died of cancer when I was like 8 or 9 years old. It scarred me to a point to where I used to be scared to go to sleep. I didn't even understand what cancer was. I thought I was gonna go to sleep and just die in my sleep. I saw my grandfather dead at 8, 9. That was my first dead body. Just recently, I fast forward and it's jumped from that. Just recently, my other grandfather passed. But the connection, the reason why I say energy can't be died, only be transferred. I'm gonna break down the story.
I ain't gonna lie. He pissed me off. See what happened, yeah? See now, yeah? I now feel like the guys in the room. I don't want to hear what you got to say. But then they're probably better than me. Because see me, I feel like when you can't give that, when I feel like you can't give that empathy, I can't really hear you after that. Do you get what I'm saying to you? I kind of switch off. And that's something I have to work on. That's me. Because coming back, I have to come back into zone. Now I'm not, I don't want to hear your sub story now. Because you ain't really giving that to everybody else. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying he's not going to make a great point, but I'm honoring how I feel in the moment. After seeing what you just did, I can see now how, you know what I'm saying to you? I can see how to, do you know what I mean? Because I'm feeling it now. I'm not, I don't want to hear your voice anymore, bro. Like, I don't want to hear you. You know what I mean? So I hear you, and he said, like, I feel like if it went up, it could be. Yeah.
Grandfather passed. I'm usually able to meditate and connect with anyone on the other side, and I'm able to receive from other realms.
Ah! She's sauce. I knew it. I knew you were going to say some wild ass stuff. I'm able to connect with people in the other realms, sir. Come out. You ain't no Christian. Come out. Come out, man. Come out. Come out. You come out. Come out. What's this nonsense we are talking about? See, it's exactly what I'm talking about. But let me go on.
So, the living. I'm able to receive. Once I went to sleep that night, I had a dream.
Hold on.
That was my first dead body. Just recently, I fast forward and it's jumped from that. Just recently, my other grandfather passed. But the connection, the reason why I say energy can't be divided, only be transferred. I'm gonna break down the story. When my grandfather passed, I'm usually able to meditate and connect with anyone on the other side, and I'm able to receive from other realms. Yes, sir. The living. I'm able to receive. Once I went to sleep that night, I had a dream. My dream was my grandfather knew I love guns. My dream was he was at his home, and then the room I used to stay in as a little boy, he took me into the home, lifted from under the bed, pulled out a briefcase, and the dream ended. I was overseas. I was catching a flight when he died. Same thing you said. My mother was crying loudly on the aircraft. We was on the way to Europe. My mother was screaming. Flight attendants had to wear me because I had earphones on. I had to cater to my mother in the middle of a flight because her father just died, right? I went to sleep that night. I had a dream. Once I got back to Memphis, the first place I went to was my grandfather's house to greet my grieving grandmother, but to also go straight to that room in that dream. In that dream, when I lifted up the bed and I pulled out the same briefcase I saw in the dream that he sent me, I opened it up and that's why I found all his hunting rifles. So when I say energy does not die, it can only be transferred. How did I get that dream? How did I know it was guns under that bed if I never knew it was guns under the bed?
So now, Ray J, when you
wait. They must have edited that. So why did Kurt just go to Ray J? They must have edited that. Listen. I believe that Satan doesn't give us dreams, okay? Personally, okay? But when you start telling me you're seeing things from another realm, I have to start questioning whether you are operating in the realms of darkness. I'm not saying that you can't dream, but I'm saying to you, when you start saying energy and die, and I contact the dead, yeah, at that point you're necromancying, and that's not under the fear of God. That's not of God. Like, I hope that's an edit, because that was a mad edit, bro. I can't lie to you. How can man finish and man just go straight to Ray J like that? That's a mad edit. It must be an edit.
So when I say energy does not die, it can only be transferred. How did I get that dream? How did I know it was guns under the bed if I never knew it was guns under the bed?
So now, Ray J, when you
They must edit that.
hear these stories about how people can cope through what they go through, what has been the most beautiful lesson that has been given to you on how to survive being famous, being
42, 40, right? It's different. But in his situation, he's right there. And that's where it's at. So it don't matter what we say about the years that we put in after, and what happens to the years after that is a little bit different, and it gets a little trickier, right? But when I was 22, when I'm 22, that's all you can tell me. And the OGs, they used to tell me shit. I'd be like, push OG, much respect. All right, cool. They don't know what you're talking about in my mind and walk away, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I always show
We all
him.
did.
You know,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
go, he like, push he like, I'm telling you, man. And you're like, all right, man. All right, OG, all right. And you like, you don't know what you're talking about, because I know what I'm talking about, right? But 22 and 32 is different. 42 is different. And the way you going is, like, if you keep your head on straight like that, and know that at any time, everything could change, like in 1 second.
It's
And
already done. It's done it multiple times. Yes, sir.
Meaning what?
It's done. It's changed multiple times.
But what I'm saying is, no, it is, but it hasn't changed. Like, you don't understand it yet. You don't understand.
I don't understand what yet.
What 32 looks like.
Yeah, I do not. You're
Yeah,
right.
what 42 looks like. There's no but to it.
No, it is a but.
No, it's not.
The way that you look at the OG, you said you don't know what you're talking
Ray
about.
just said, there's no 32 and there's no 42. You don't know what it's like. Simple. It's just that simple. You don't know. and you know what? That would have never, Ray J would have never had to say that if he didn't show that he is quote unquote being young. You know what I mean? So Ray J would have never had to say that about the age thing until if NLE never showed quote unquote his age. You know what I'm saying to you? Because even when he says that, NLE still wants to fight the situation and doesn't recognize that he had upset the elders, not because he spoke, but because he was not listening to the elders. He was not listening to the brothers at the table. Look, even if I'm the same age as them, and I come onto that table, I'm going to be respectful. I'm not going to try to speak over you. I want to hear your thought process. This is a meeting of the minds. So this is not a prove you're right, you know? And he's still not listening. That's his problem. He don't listen.
The same way I look at the OGs, and I receive what I can, and I take it with a grain of salt and apply what I can't. I apply what I can, and I leave what I can't. You feel me?
But
So,
are
like,
you,
even
but are you
talking
eager?
about-
But are you eager to listen tonight?
Have I not?
I don't think so. Not yet.
So yeah, if you don't think I listen,
Man said, I don't think you've been listening tonight. I can't lie to you. You ain't been listening tonight. And I think he's right. And he ain't been listening. Because if he had, he would have recognized and recognized the energy in the room. You have both Jonathan and now Ray J coming at you. Recognize something happened.
listen,
No,
for you to
not-
think. I
no.
know I'm listening though. I listen to this brother's story, and I relate. Listen to this brother's story. I relate. He said he he overdosed. And nobody talk about time when I drove into a tree, to a light pole trying to,
Wow.
I got my own instances too. I'm just, I'm a little bit too, probably it looks as if I'm trying to keep it hidden.
No, it
But if I put it on the front line and I just go step by step, day by day, y'all will say, damn, you went through all of that? By 22, that's why I'm so far ahead, because I've already lived enough and I've learned. See,
So you feel like you feel like you're far ahead. How far do you feel like
I
you're
feel
ahead?
I'm far enough to ahead to have a conversation with y'all, because I bet if y'all bring another 22-year-old, he won't be able to talk like this.
You think you're too, and you see, that's where pride comes before a fall. You think you're further. Again, it's not your knowledge. It is the way that it's being transferred. It's the way that you're relating to your people's your age. That's the problem. That's why Ray J's trying to tell you, listen, hey man, check it a little bit, bro. Like, you haven't really been listening, take it in a little bit. But he doesn't recognize. He thinks he's far ahead because he had some experiences. But that's why I said the scripture at the beginning, Luke 2 verse 52, that Jesus Christ had to grow in stature and in wisdom and in favor. Okay, all right, in favor amongst men. Christ had to know how to become a man and had to grow up to the age of 30 before he can now do the full-on works of the Lord. Between 12 and 30, they couldn't do that. Between 12 and 30, we don't see what's happening to him. But by 30, we do. You know what I'm saying, Chu? All he had to do was listen and speak when he needed to speak. It's because he started contradicting people's experiences. That's all. It was not the fact that he said anything wrong. It's the fact that he started contradicting people's experiences.
But talk like what?
Talk and know what
You sound intelligent and you sound like you mean well, but you just have no clue of what this thing is.
What the thing is.
The thing is time.
No. I want to hear him.
Time.
Time, right?
Time. Not timing, but time. Time.
Within time, what do you feel is going to be revealed within time that I'm not already understanding?
All right, so
I'm listening.
And I think what Ray J is
Hey, Kim Barnett trying to save him. King Barnett's out there. Let me try and save the situation before.
And Arthur C. Brooks talk about crystallized knowledge and fluid knowledge.
Yes, sir.
And crystal knowledge is what we've acquired with age and with time.
Yes, sir.
And obviously, which honor and respect, yours is fluid. And what he's saying is there's so much more to be revealed. And because you're at that position, you're going to learn it. So I don't think he's not saying that you're not. What he's saying is that as you stay on the path, you will continue to receive more and more.
we have to debate. We have to have a debate because if we don't debate it, then there's no point to be here.
My thing is,
I'm
maturity
listening
didn't come
everybody.
from age. It just came from learning where I messed up at. That's what I'm saying. Is that not where maturity come from? Does it come with age, or does it come with learning and breaking the cycles that you're supposed to?
That's a good question.
Is that not?
No, I'm answering you. I think it's a combination of things, right? So you grew up in Memphis, right? A lot of violence from what you were saying, right? So you've seen a lot of things that a lot of people haven't seen, right? So that's a lot of experience, right? But I'm 42, Kirk's 50, 55. There's certain things that I'm gonna give you a silly example. Well, I'm gonna give you a silly example. Have you heard of Labubus?
Labubus?
Yeah, the little.
That's where the 22 come in at. No.
Okay, so Labubu, no, it's happening now. Labubus are little like stuffed animals, and my niece is like 9. It is the biggest thing in the world.
Yes.
She's never seen nothing else. She's like, I gotta have a Labubu. We gotta stand in line for 2 hours for a Labubu. And me and my wife and sister, and that's the difference. So Labubus for her is the biggest thing in the world. It's really just a stuffed animal.
Yes, sir.
So to her, this is the first time she's seen it. It's on TV, it's on the news. At 42, I realized Labubu ain't nothing but Pokemon cards,
Yes, sir.
Beanie Babies.
You see how Jonathan's given the head nods because they're respecting each other and their experiences. This is something that as a social aspect, right? We have to learn. See, if you grew up around old heads, right? You learn to keep quiet and you learn to listen. That's actually how you got really wise. When I grew up around a lot of the older, because when you're in church, and obviously a lot of your parents are, if they're a part of the leadership part of leadership in church, you will end up having a lot of spaces where you are with the older generation. Okay, all right. And so when you're with the older generation, they teach you shut the heck up and listen. So a lot of time I spent when I was young was just listening. Now at 22, I can't lie to you, I thought I knew everything. But when I'm around the elders, I was just like, let me just listen to what they got to say. Now, we're not talking about listening to elders who are smoking crack on the corner and drinking every day. No. Okay. Right. So this is important to understand this particular aspect. So listening and just keeping quiet and be like, okay, receiving it. I don't need to give a better answer than you've given. I just need to receive it. And that's where older heads really respect you, because they're like, rah, like you're really mature for your age because you just listen. What shows maturity is the ability to listen and comprehend, not the answers. The answers are good. You know what I'm saying, Jude? The answers are good, but you got to learn when you're around elders how to keep quiet. And then when you're asked of your opinion, then you can share something. Right? And don't get twisted. There was a few times when I got older, I wanted to share, but I recognized that I was around the elders and I got to let them talk. They're doing their thing, bro. I don't just start talking. I got to keep quiet. I got to listen. I got to soak in. That's how you gain favor from amongst men.
Gumi Elmo, Pet Rocks, Game Boys, whatever.
What's the point?
I'm gonna get to the point.
Not him saying what is the point, bro. This is exactly what we're talking about. It's exactly what we're talking about. Let's get to the point. That's what we're talking about. You're not even deep in that you're being disrespectful right now. They're giving you a pass. You're being disrespectful. And let's get to the point. He's making the point. right? He just wants to be able to land it gently.
I'm gonna get to the point. The point is, when you were hearing Labubu's, you think, oh my God, this is crazy. I've never seen anything else like that because it's your first experience. This hurt. When you're my age, you're like, this is 6th, 7th time I've seen this, but everybody who's experienced it for the first time, I remember what it was like when I was like, I gotta have a Tamagotchi. No, the world's Tamagotchi. I gotta have this. Mom, please.
Hey, Tamagotchi's
And now I've
crazy.
seen that happen once every 2 or 3 years. So that at 9 or at 22, you can only know that revolution's only happened one time, 2 or 3 times. But when you're 42 or 55, you have literally, like Ray J said, you have actual time. There's experience where you have experiences, and then there's experience where you've experienced things over time.
So your daughter does that?
My niece.
So over time, yes, and that's what he's saying. Listen, because I don't know everything. You know what I'm saying to you? So like if I get around Stephen Speaks and Matthew Hussey and King Barnett as well, if I get around these people, I just need to listen. They've been doing this thing much longer than I have. I don't need to prove that I'm worthy to sit at that table, because the fact that I'm sitting at the table means I'm worthy already. I don't need to prove it by doing one up on anybody else. I can sit, and also there's a way to also disagree. There's also a way to disagree without making it contentious and saying, you know what? I think from my perspective, how I see it is, I see it this way. You still can say that you're different from them, but you don't have to contradict them directly. It's an indirect kind of disagreement. It's like, oh no, I heard you say about this. For me, what I'm looking at is I see this isn't happening, and I see that happening. That's why for me, when I'm doing my coaching, I do it this way. So I don't have to again say, but you do the way you do it. You're not deep in it. That you're not. It's not for that right now. You know what I mean? It's not for that right now. Okay.
Niece.
Yeah.
My daughter does that with me.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. At 22, I used to love SpongeBob as a kid.
Right.
It came back into fruition.
Let me jump in real quick, guys.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, let me jump in real quick. Go. No, finish. No, finish. Go ahead, King. Finish. Yes, sir.
Ray J.
Yeah, thank you. Whew. I've been trying to say something about it. No,
Go ahead,
I'm just
kid.
saying, and Ali is my, and he's smart as fuck. And he's his own, you carved out your own way. So you understand.
I would see that.
You understand by being your own boss. So nobody can really tell you nothing.
No, that's not
No.
true.
Let me just finish. Let me finish.
That's not true.
No, you're right. No, I know. No, you listen. No, you listen too. No, you listen too. No, you listen too. But what I'm saying is, you're like, think about it. And I know your mom. I know you. Like, you manifested where you are right
Yes,
now.
sir.
So you understand
The
that.
grace of God.
Cool. That's what you feel.
That's what I know.
Got it.
You see, he's still doing it. Everything he's got to try and challenge. I don't. It's not everything you need to challenge, bro. You know what I'm saying to you? You know, I don't think it's an unpopular opinion, Sasha. I think it was good it's good to have them there because it exposes him to recognizing that he needs to work on some stuff. Okay. The problem is we have I looked at the comments and a lot of people were saying, and they were saying that he's wrong, but a lot of comments were also saying like NLE had more wisdom, and I was like, that's where you get gassed and you don't recognize it. You don't know what you're doing.
Now, do you feel like you're at that experience level to where you can tell give these some advice?
Do I?
Really? You know what I'm saying? You feel like you can give Jonathan Major some advice?
Do I feel I'm at that level?
Yeah, not successful.
No, that's a good question.
I'm talking about experience.
Knowledge-wise, right?
Yeah, do you feel like that?
I can only give what man is willing to receive.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yes, it
That
does.
doesn't answer the
Break
question.
it down.
I don't feel like your experience. Do you feel like your experience in the world?
Hey, Ray J said that don't make no sense, bro. Do you feel like you can give these guys advice at your age? Yeah, he said, listen, that don't make no sense. Quit it. You know what I mean? Quit it. Yeah, quit it. Yeah, you're not making any sense, brother. Quit it. Stop that. You know what I mean? Quit it. Like, stop that. Like, behave. Okay. I get it. After a while, it's been an hour and 10 minutes. They're frustrated. You know what I mean? I'll definitely do a part 2. I don't want to go too long, but
Jonathan some
If
advice.
he's willing to receive.
That's right. I just smoke a cigarette.
Hold on, let me jump in and say this. Watch this. I want to say something to you, John.
He said, "Hey, Reggie said I gotta go and smoke a cigarette." I And you know what's so funny is the fact that NLE just the question to his answer was, do you think you could receive that, right? Do you think you could tell Jonathan that? And he said, if Jonathan's ready to receive it, then I can give it. The funny thing is, NLE, are you ready to receive it yourself? That's the whole point. The answer you gave is good. Are you ready to receive it? Okay. All right. So the key point here is Kev on the stage is older than Jonathan Majors. Right? But have you noticed nobody said anything to Jonathan Majors? Not because he's successful, but because he did not counteract somebody's experience. The reason why they're pushing back on NLE is not because he's young, it's because he decided to interrupt people and think he knew better. So now they are questioning your age when it really should have been questioning your wisdom, but your age is now coming into play. Because Jonathan Majors is 36, something like that? He's not that much older. He's not that much younger than, he's a little bit younger than, he's a bit, I don't think even, how old is he? Maybe not much older than myself, I don't think. You know what I mean? Let me see how old it is, Jonathan Majors. Right? And the reason why, again, is because, like I said, people don't want to question it. He's 36 years old. Jonathan Majors is 36 years old. And, you know, Kevin on stage is 40-something plus. He didn't question him. You know what I'm saying, Chu? So in this space, the reason why they're questioning your age is because of lack of, as someone say, maturity. I like that word in this conversation. You know? So it's not about him having an opinion. It is the way you're showing up. You're showing arrogance and it's showing disrespect to the people around the table. And that's why the old heads are telling you this. They're trying to let you know you need to learn quick to listen.
And I want to be able to give a transparent moment to be able to meet you where you are. And just to be able to know that I felt you on the deeper level of what we talked about earlier. So, y'all all know that I've gone through things with my oldest son, right? You know, did you know that? No, sir. Did you ever hear about this thing about my son exposing me on the tape?
Hold on, Carl.
Emotional anxiety breakdown when we started to realize it was having issues.
I want to get to Jonathan.
Inspiration in that. Where did you get that from? That it wouldn't take away from your masculinity, that it wouldn't take away from your own power.
I think it goes all the way back to kind of what we all said, what I said, and Ray J jumped on. I was like, and I want to be clear about it. Like, when I say I don't care, it's not the fact that I don't care about anything. It's just my priorities are so clear now that my mental health, my mental fitness, my physical fitness, my spiritual fitness, these things I cherish. These things are precious. And it is the ego, it is the Google, Facebook chat book, you know, it is all these things, you know, that distract from that, you know. And when I've got now on the other side of it, right, like I just really love what's going on, you know. Your question is how I get to the other side.
Well, my question is how did you find the comfort and courage to be able to
because it's more, that's what it is. Because we say that in drama school, you have to increase your need to communicate, right? Like that was our big thing, right? If you can't hear, increase your need to communicate. I feel so led to break down, right, and diagnose this taboo thing that is around us as men, and especially us as black men, and especially on us as Christian black men.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
I feel like that is a calling and a mission for me, because stepping out and watching everything go, you see what people think about you. And you take the good with the bad, you take the crooked with the straights. And what I realized is there's a whole group, a whole ecosystem, an entire demographic of people who are looking at people like me, people like Kev, people like Doc, people like my homie, people like you, and saying, what do they do? What do they do? What do they do? And I go, if the Lord has put me on this, earth, and has put me through all this, right? And I'm still standing, and I'm still here, right? I gotta share that, you know? I gotta share that. And the things that were burdening me, I'm gonna unburden in front of folk so they can see that it's okay. It's really okay that you hurt sometimes. That sometimes the prayers you don't feel like they working.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That mean they're not working, but sometimes it feels like they ain't working.
Some days
you know? Yeah, some days they do. Some days they do.
Some days they don't feel like they're working.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
gotcha,
know what I
gotcha.
mean?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You know, like
Yes, sir.
you got
Yes,
the
sir.
most beautiful woman,
Yes.
and sometimes
still won't shut up.
she can't turn it around for you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That
Yes.
like these real things do not mitigate
Yes.
the suffering.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They don't mitigate it.
Well, you can park right there, man.
Yo, will somebody let Ray know that his boy would love him back in? Yeah, yeah.
Not Ray J not coming back in. But listen, my time is up. But listen, yeah. You know, I think oh man, you know, it's interesting because you know, Jonathan was really breaking down some stuff there. Like he was saying, you know, sometimes it feels like the prayer is not working. Can I be honest with you? Sometimes it feels like the prayer is not working. This is really true. It really is true. Like we had these conversations a little bit of a while ago on my other channel, Pray Like You're Mad, and I spoke about this. There are times where you feel distant from God. There are times where you feel let down by God. There are times where you feel like you're angry at God. There are times where you're just saying, God, I don't even want to do this no more. But you know the difference between me and God? When I tell God that, he's secure enough to be able to have a conversation with me. Do you know what I mean? So when God is able, and that's why I said I don't need to defend God to you when you're having a moment. I don't need to, because God is so secure in who he is. So you can have a moment. You can have a moment where you can have moments, years. There are people who have walked away from church or walked away and seemingly walked away from God for years, and God is like, I got them. Don't worry. I'm working on them. Don't worry about that. I'm working on them. I got them covered. I've been there, so I know. You know what I'm saying, Chew? I've been there, so I know. And so, yeah, there are times where you feel like, God, why am I going through this? Why do I have to suffer like this? There are times where you're looking at God and saying, is it really worth it to stay with you? And yet, if I was in the world, this might not be happening to me. These are moments that you have in your life. And as you go through your faith and your work and your journey, you have many of those moments, right? And the powerful thing is that as we are in Christ's hands, he doesn't let us go. We come right back and we say, Lord, you know what? I get some understanding. Maybe I understand a bit, sometimes I don't understand it, you know? And we have to sometimes be okay with the tension that something doesn't make sense and it may not make sense. Okay? All right? It may make sense and it may not make sense. Sometimes there are some things in our life that happen and it doesn't make sense. And you may not get your answer until you are in heaven. And that's hard to comprehend, and you can't sell that in a bottle to anybody. If I sell that to somebody and tell them, hey, I want to be honest with you, you're going to come to Christ, and things may happen to you, and I'm going to be honest with you, hey, some of the things won't make sense. Some of the things you might want to blame God for. Like, who would want to come? But the reality is, and I love what he ended it with, suffering isn't vacated because you have materialism. Suffering's actually a part of the faith. That's the thing that we don't sell to people. Suffering is a part of the faith. One thing I'm going to guarantee you is you give your life to Christ, you're going to suffer. Yeah, you're going to suffer. There's something that's going to make you suffer, whether it's family, whether it's money, whether it's women or men, whether it's relationships, whether it's career, work. Something will teach you that suffering is a part of it. And that's the hard part. There is suffering. And that's also the great part too, where we all as Christians too, when we've gone through some suffering and it humbles you in a way. Ooh, you know what? It humbles you in a way that you so humbled now that when someone talks about their pain, you just keep quiet. You ever had that one? I'm sure most of you have had it before, where you've gone through so much pain. Now, when people are going through pain, you don't offer any kind of fake plaudits. You just keep them up. When people are going through things, now you just like this. Now you don't have a judgmental spirit. Beforehand, when you were younger, you would judge people and say, well, God must be doing, you must have done something against God. You're moving like Joe's friends. But now you recognize, I've suffered some things that I didn't even deserve, it felt like. There's some things that have happened that am I even qualified to suffer some of the things I suffered with? When you go through some of those things, you start to have a grace for other people in a way that changes things. So it's hard for some people to have grace for other people because they've not fallen and they haven't gone through some things, right? And that's what I'm talking about NLE, that whilst he has the knowledge, it's zealous right now, but he doesn't have the wisdom yet. He needs to gather the wisdom so he can relate to his fellow men, right? So that you can have a grace for people, and then you can open up space for them. Because me too, I was like that too. You remember back in the day, Twitter? I was on Christian Twitter back in the day. You know, I was about 22 as well. I was on Christian, and we used to shade people. Oh, some of you, you know, you're on Saturday night, you're in a club. Sunday night, you're in church. I used to tweet like that. Yeah, Saturday night you was fornicating. Sunday night you're in church. Yeah, I remember them days, bro. I remember them days, fam, when I was doing them things there, fam. Now, I'm not saying, you know, and I remember that, you know, someone might tweet something on the Twittergram. You enter the DMs. Is that Christ-like? if Christ was here watching, is that what he would allow you to? Like, you become a Pharisee so quickly because you're so new to it that you haven't gone through anything yet. And you ain't gone through local storms yet. Oh, when the day you recognize that you're see, some of you, when you come to Christ first, yeah, when you first come to Christ, God answers all your prayers, it seems like. In fact, you go to church, the message is about you. You go to talk to your friends, it's as if God's speaking to you. You know, you go out to work, it's as if it's a message directly for you. Yeah, we call it the honeymoon phase. Once you get past the honeymoon phase, yeah, you're going to find out, you're going to pray. You're going to pray. And you're going to find out, like everybody else does as a Christian, that at some point, it's like, is God even listening? Oh, wait, God don't answer every prayer. Hold on a minute. You mean I can go through some warfare? Oh, I didn't even know. Yeah, you're going to find out. Right? That's what they're talking about, age. Sometimes you don't recognize. And listen, thank you, Till. When you're really with God, them days where, fam, you pray and it's like someone just shut the heavens. That's one of the scariest places to be when you're in that place. And until someone tells you, actually, when God shuts the heavens, it really is God just allowing you to go through something. He just wants you to work through that place. He's giving you the wisdom for that moment. But even if I tell you that, unless you've gone through it, you can't really deep it. When the heavens shut and you're praying and it looks like all your prayers are hitting the ceiling and coming right back, ping, 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 and just coming right back, bro, you just start asking, God, what's going on? God, why? Why the heavens shut? Have I done something wrong? Have I sinned? And all these things are working you through, bro. They're working you. They're stretching you out. But again, with that comes wisdom, comes language, comes, you know. And I can only tell you this because of my age of spend time with the Lord. That's why I can tell you that. So yes, NLE is knowledgeable, but you're 22 and you're talking like you're 22. You know what I mean? And you're not recognizing that there are moments in your life that, fam, you are going to ask God, God, are you sure? Is God really real? This God thing, do I really want to be here? There are days where you just want to you want to quit. You want to be out. There's days where there's days where you want to say some things to God that's unholy. Yes, there's days. There's days where, you see, and some of you can't, we won't say it, so you be passive aggressive. You go and you no longer want to talk to God. When God is speaking, I'm not hearing you. When God speaks, you turn over on your pillow and you turn over. You know? God starts saying something in the Bible, you close your Bible quick. You know what I'm saying to you? Pastor's talking about your situation. I don't hear anything. You know, we all had those moments. Okay? We all know those moments. And that comes with the territory, man. You know what I mean? It comes with the territory. And you can laugh at it now because you were having your moment at that point. As you know what I'm saying to you? You're having your moment, and I can leave space for you. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You can leave space. I mean, me too, Elson. I say it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I say it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I say it personally. I say it. You know what I mean? I don't swear, but I definitely say, God, you know, don't treat me like an idiot now. And I'll be like, I know, you know, probably it's not PC, but God, you gotta allow me. You treat me like a mug right now. What's going on? Talk to me, you know? And then I calm down. I'll be like, all right, God, I was having a moment there. Thank you for allowing me to have the moment. Let's come correct. God, what are you telling me? You know what I mean? Like, you have those moments. Okay. Yeah. You know? So it's real, man. You know? Hey, sometimes you gotta give God that crazy talk, bro. Hey, if you've been in it long enough, if you've been in it long, you know when you talk crazy. You ever talk crazy before? You talk brazy, and then God is like, you know when you talk brazy to God, and then God is just like, then He hits you with something very quiet. So what about this moment here? What about the word that says this? And you're like, That's when I recognized that. That's when I started recognizing that I need to have more grace for women, because I started recognizing that if we talk about women and about some of their behaviors, I realize that, bro, I'm no different to the ladies, bro. I'm definitely gonna have a fit. I'm gonna have a moment. I'm definitely having some period. I'm having some moments where I'm out of order. I'm too emotional. I'm too this. I'm complaining. I don't want to follow his lead. I don't want to submit. I don't want to go where he's telling me to go. There are moments where you just run your mouth. Like, what you mean, God? Da-da-da-da-da. And then he hits you with so what about this? You're like, yeah, but it's not about that. You ignore it. It's not about that, but it's about the fact. You know how I feel. Bro, when he gets you like that, bro, like, do you see what I'm saying to you? Right? And then you laugh. Because you see, once you recognize that God isn't going to strike you down. Okay? God isn't about to use lightning to strike you down. You start laughing. You start laughing. You start laughing because you recognize now, That's where my leadership also changed to how I thought about relationships. Because I recognized when I was following God that, bro, there are hard times where I am scared, bro, to follow your lead. And I'm a terrorist in my own, I shouldn't say that, but I'm a terror in my own thing. I'm like, God, I don't want to follow your lead. I want to do what my thing is. There are times where I'm like, I know God is telling me this to do this, and I know He's right, but let me do it my way and see what happens. So I recognize how God handled me in those moments. Did He strike me down? Did He cuss me out? Did He scream and shout at me? Nah, bro. I started recognizing, okay, so I can have moments. If I can have moments, if I'm in a marriage and I have a woman beside me, she gonna have moments too. And I don't need to be trying to check her in a way that God didn't check me. You see what I'm saying to you? So I recognize that aspect too. Well, I was like, okay, now God, I see you now. You taught me a lesson. I can't be leading in a way that's so harsh because you don't teach me that way. I've got to learn. No, I've got. I see how you're talking to me gently. You see how you're pointing out my faults. You're not doing my told you so, but you're going, hey, coach, that area of life, let's start working through it. You see what's going on with here? You see how you don't want to, you see how difficult it is to touch that area? Just remember when you're doing that to other people that it's not easy to touch areas that are difficult. It's not easy to let go of some things. You know what I'm saying to you? So when you're dealing with people, don't deal with them in a way that you know it all. Don't deal with them in a way that, you're harsh to them. Nah, be gentle. Be gentle. Work with them. It's still strength. Oh, bro, okay, here you go. Because I ain't gonna lie to you. When you were telling me that, I didn't want to listen. So these are all things anyway. These are all things. But yeah, anyway, listen, my time is up. But yeah, thank you for hearing me, guys. And we'll be back probably tomorrow and do some more videos and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really a deep thing to experience. And we thank God for God. And yeah, man, we just love the fact that God is working with us in this space and that He isn't like us and that He isn't going to be shaking you down because He respects and loves you and knows how to lead. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Yeah. Appreciate it. Oh, holiday for you guys tomorrow. Okay, I'll be on tomorrow. Don't worry. I appreciate you guys. I gotta go. I'm gonna go and pray and submit myself to the Holy One. Okay, you get me. All right. I appreciate you guys. Stay up, so we'll see you again soon. Au revoir.